We'll always be with you. Every room you enter, we'll already be there waiting for you.
The Sophons have vast power, but they are not all-powerful. They cannot read our minds.
In episode 8, I love how it's so concentrated on Saul specifically and what he's going through. And if you're along for the ride with Saul, you'd be feeling like I'd feel trapped too if I was him.
The third wall-facer, Saul Durand.
Becoming a wall-facer is not just an honor, it's really more of a curse, because once you've been chosen for this thing, it's a bit of a Kafka-esque nightmare in that everyone thinks everything you're doing from this point on is a plan to defeat the aliens.
Shouldering this great burden, they will pass through the long years alone.
And the reason the term was chosen, I believe, is because it, references Buddhists, staring at the wall, trying to achieve a state of enlightenment and not interacting with the outside world. And it's a pretty damn lonely existence, and that's not really Saul.
I reject all of the powers of the wall-facer. I won't do it, okay? I think it'll be interesting for audiences to kind of wait to see how he handles that pressure, or if he handles the pressure, and what happens if he does have more responsibility moving forward.
What matters is what people believe, and non-people.
It's kind of what I love about the situation in Cixin and Liu's books, and it's at the heart of all of the books, and it only gets more important going forward. It's just the impossibility of knowing what an opponent is going to do and how the mistrust that comes from that often forces people into terrible situations.
What this series means to me, hopefully we have conveyed the scope of this trilogy in a way that makes you feel like you are watching the most important story ever told. It is the story of humanity from the moment we realize we're not alone all the way up until the very end. And I can't imagine anything bigger than that.
The launch of the Staircase Mission project, is quite a really important sequence in the finale of the show. And, it was a really intricate, interesting thing to shoot. We built a mission control here that's a really kind of spectacular set. 3, 2, 1.
I hope for some viewers at least, it works as a little bit of a fake out, because you're expecting it's the finale of the season, and you've been told over and over again, this is never going to work. This is a 1 in a million shot that we could possibly detonate 300 bombs and have it.
It's one thing I know from movies. They say it's never going to work. It's going to work.
It's totally going to work. And this is going to be, humanity's, real like moonshot, if you will, to defeat the aliens. So obviously you're assuming that it's going to work.
That's what I thought when I read the book the first time. I thought, well, this has been built up. They're going to send this guy's brain towards the enemy fleet. It's going to grow right into the middle of his fleet, and I'll get to see alongside his disembodied brain like what's going on in the enemy fleet. I didn't see it going to shit.
That whole sequence is just so, in terms of the visual effects and Ramin's score and then the acting, just a lot of close-ups of Jess looking anguished.
All hands, be advised we've had an anomaly.
Part of the reason I really feel Jin's despair when Will's brain capsule goes off course, I think, is that she's finally recognized that
You loved him.
I love him. He's still alive.
it's a beautiful performance from Jess, and also it's like this woman realizing something incredibly important about herself, which is this friend that she's known for years and years, who's been by her side for so long, is actually maybe the love of her life, and now it's too late. And then the one kind of, as you said, the moonshot before, if you still believe he's alive as a frozen brain, maybe the aliens can bring him back. Well, that's not gonna happen now because he's just veered off millions of miles in the wrong direction. So it's really a tragic moment for Jin and a tragic moment for Saul, who's one of Will's best friends. And they're despondent at the very end. And the one person who doesn't really have patience for their despondency is Da Shi, whose attitude is more or less, we're at war and have your moment to grieve, but now it's time to get back to work.
Come on, go for a drive.
I grew up reading science fiction, and I remember the feelings that it gave me almost more than I remember a lot of the specifics of some of the books that I read. And reading Liu's books gave me the full force of that feeling again. And I'm hoping that the show can bring some of that to people who love science fiction, to some people who think they hate science fiction, to everybody in between, because that's what his books did for me.
Yeah, I love these books. I found them so thought-provoking and wildly imaginative. And if the series gets more people to read the books, I think that will be that would make me very happy.
Well, we paired together two things that are very far apart in the books. The brain capsule goes off course, like 100 pages into book 3, and the cicada moment happens at the end of book 1. Right. So they're nowhere close to each other, but it seemed to make sense to have these two things of like the moment of greatest despair paired with this inspirational moment of still holding out hope.
People hate bugs. Been trying to get rid of them forever.
I always loved the speech at the end of Three Body Problem in the novel, because he's taking something that we normally dislike, but also they're omnipresent and we can't get rid of them. And that's what Da Shi points out at the end.
Look around. They're not going anywhere.
Again, it's one of the brilliant things that Cixin Liu does in his novels, where he takes something that you're aware of, but you just haven't thought of it this way. Yeah, okay, if you're gonna say we're all bugs, I'm gonna take that insult and I'm gonna take ownership of it. And good luck wiping us out, because we've tried to wipe out bugs for thousands of years, and guess what? They're not going anywhere.
Let's get back. We've got work to do.